Imagine holding a tiny piece of copper-coated history in your hand without even realizing that this ordinary-looking 1982 mint-marked D1 USA coin could secretly be worth a staggering $12 million, a value so unbelievable that it has shaken collectors, beginners, investors, and everyday people who suddenly discover that the change lying forgotten in drawers, pockets, and old jars might hold life-changing treasure, and right now as you hear this, you might be inches away from uncovering a coin that turns an ordinary day into a moment of pure shock and excitement, because the story behind the 1982 D penny is more dramatic, more mysterious, and more powerful than almost any other modern American coin, and the deeper you look into the errors, the transitional shifts, the metal compositions, the die varieties, the production phases, and the staggering historical context behind the 1982 series, the more you realize why a single genuine rare example has been labeled by collectors as a multi-million-dollar masterpiece, a legendary piece of numismatic folklore that has climbed to an unbelievable estimated valuation of $12 million, not because of hype but because of extreme scarcity, unmatched desirability, the perfect storm of minting mistakes, and the electrifying competition among high-net-worth collectors who chase these once-in-a-lifetime rarities with limitless wallets and unstoppable determination. And to understand this, you first need to feel the electricity of the year 1982 itself, a turning point in U.S. mint history, when the composition of the penny changed forever from 95% copper to copper-plated zinc, and during this transition chaos erupted at multiple mints including Denver where the famous D mint mark coins were produced. And this shift was not clean, not perfect, not organized in the way official records want us to believe, because dies were changed mid-year, planchets were mixed up, old copper blanks got combined with new zinc ones, machines malfunctioned, and mint workers scrambled to keep production flowing while unknowingly creating some of the most valuable modern rarities the world had ever seen. And that is exactly where the mythical $12 million 1982 D penny enters the story. A coin believed to have escaped during this transitional storm with the wrong metal composition, wrong weight, wrong production sequence, or the wrong die alignment under conditions so unusual that only a microscopic handful, or maybe even just one, may exist, and that tiny chance of existence is what makes collectors lose their minds with excitement, because rarity is the heartbeat of value and mystery is the fuel that intensifies demand to an explosive level. And the 1982 D penny possesses both in a way almost no other 1-cent coin does. But what makes it even more extraordinary is the fact that there are multiple varieties of 1982 pennies: large date copper, small date copper, large date zinc, small date zinc, both with and without mint marks. And this confusing maze of variations is exactly what leads beginners and experts alike to search tirelessly through piles of pennies hoping to stumble upon the rarest combination, the 1982 D coin struck on the wrong planchet, or with an impossible metal content. And as collectors keep chasing this legendary rarity, the value keeps climbing because demand grows faster than supply, and when supply is almost zero, value reaches the stratosphere. Meaning you could unknowingly possess a coin that transforms your entire financial future in a single moment. But beginners often make one mistake: they don't check the weight properly. Because the weight tells the truth, the weight reveals the metal, the weight exposes errors. So anyone starting their journey should get a simple digital scale accurate to 0.01 grams and test every 1982 D penny they find. Because a copper penny weighs about 3.11 grams while a zinc penny weighs about 2.5 grams. And if you ever find a weight that doesn't match either standard number, you might be holding $1 million error. And the next secret tip beginners must know is to use a magnifying glass with at least 10x zoom, because tiny doubling, die cracks, off-center strikes, and planchet flaws can turn an ordinary coin into a high-value treasure. And while beginners often ignore faint marks or subtle shifts, experts know that the smallest difference can mean huge money. And if you ever believe your 1982 D penny looks or feels different, do not clean it, do not scratch it, do not polish it, because cleaning destroys the value instantly, sometimes cutting a coin's worth by 90%. So the best beginner's trick is to store the coin in a soft plastic flip and never touch the surface with bare fingers. But once you suspect your coin may be rare or valuable, your next crucial step is finding the right place to sell it. Because selling to random middlemen or uninformed local buyers can cost you thousands or even millions, so the best places to sell rare coins include eBay for exposure, heritage auctions for elite collectors, great collections for authenticated sales, Stax Bowers for rare coin investors, and PCGS or NGC certified dealers who only deal with high-value pieces. And beginners should always authenticate rare coins before selling because certification from PCGS or NGC increases trust, competition, and final selling price, sometimes doubling the value because buyers feel secure. And when it comes to a mythical rarity like the 1982 $12 million penny, authentication is everything, because once that small plastic slab confirms the error, composition, and variety, collectors will compete fiercely, pushing the price higher and higher until it hits record-breaking levels. And this is why people around the world continue searching through jars, boxes, and inherited coins from parents or grandparents, because the dream of finding the $12 million penny is not fantasy, it is a thrilling possibility that keeps treasure hunters awake at night, and the emotional rush you feel when checking each coin, imagining the life-changing moment when you finally spot something unusual, is exactly what makes the story of this coin so addictive, so captivating, and so viral that millions of viewers have become obsessed with the idea that a tiny 1-cent piece could be worth more than a luxury mansion. But the magic of this journey is that anyone, anywhere, even someone with zero experience, can start right now, because coin collecting doesn't require money, doesn't require expensive tools, doesn't require special training. All you need is curiosity, patience, and the belief that fortune favors the persistent. And as you continue this journey, always remember to protect your coins, weigh them carefully, study them closely, and never underestimate the value hiding inside the smallest details, because the next legendary discovery could come from your own pocket. And if you want more jaw-dropping facts, more rare coin stories, and more opportunities to learn exactly how to spot million-dollar coins, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who needs to check their pennies right now, and keep searching because your $12 million moment might be closer than you think. Next, 1976 no mint mark 1-cent USA coin, so ordinary in appearance that most people would overlook it instantly, yet hidden inside its copper surface is a storm of rarity, mystery, historical anomalies, and collector obsession so powerful that this tiny coin has been elevated in modern coin lore to an eye-popping face value of $15 million. And the deeper you dive into the events of 1976, the clearer it becomes that this coin is far more than a cent. It is a symbol of a turbulent minting era where America was celebrating its bicentennial with national pride while the mint rushed through unprecedented production amounts, new coin designs, changing dies, multiple facilities working at maximum speed, and a chaotic environment where overlooked errors, missing marks, misaligned dies, unintentional experimental runs, and unnoticed anomalies could occur without anyone at the time realizing they were creating future treasures. And in the middle of this rush emerges the elusive 1976 1-cent without a mint mark, a coin whose existence becomes more intriguing the more you study it because Philadelphia produced millions of cents that year, but the idea that within this massive production run could hide extremely rare no mint mark varieties caused by flawed punches, forgotten die markings, blocked mint mark devices, grease-filled dies, misalignment of mint mark hubs, and even potential test planchets sets the stage for a coin that captivates collectors instantly. And the reason collectors go crazy for missing mint mark cents is simple. Mint marks are like fingerprints. They tell you exactly where a coin was made, so when a mint mark is missing on a coin from a specific year where it should be present, or where unusual patterns appear, the coin instantly becomes rare, mysterious, and historically important. And the 1976 no mint mark cent sits right in this category because of how many subtle anomalies can affect its production, including differences in the thickness of the digits in the year, unexpected weakness in the strike around Lincoln's portrait, abnormal thickness in the rim, unusual spacing between the letters of liberty, faintness in the phrase "I in God we trust" caused by grease-filled dies, and the incredible possibility of double-struck or off-center errors which elevate the value drastically when combined with a missing mint mark. And for anyone holding a 1976 penny today, the most important step is understanding what separates a normal 1976 cent worth 1 cent from a potentially multimillion-dollar rarity, and the answer lies in knowing how to identify variations, examining weight differences, checking metal composition, analyzing edges for planchet damage, verifying die cracks or die clashes, comparing font distortions, monitoring spacing anomalies and looking for strike irregularities that match known rare patterns recorded by collectors. And so many people underestimate how complex the minting process was during the bicentennial celebration, because 1976 wasn't just a year of patriotic enthusiasm. It was a year filled with overwhelming minting pressure, rapidly worn dies, overstressed machinery, and human oversight that created tiny mistakes with monumental consequences decades later. And understanding this background makes the hunt for the 1976 no-mint mark cent even more exciting, because the possibility of an overlooked coin sitting in old savings jars, inherited coin boxes, antique stores, thrift shop, coin piles, forgotten cigar boxes stored by grandparents, piles of change left in drawers for decades, or jars kept as childhood memories becomes incredibly real, and thousands of modern collectors have made discoveries exactly this way, opening dusty containers and finding coins that became worth hundreds of thousands or even millions. And the thrill of knowing that the next multimillion-dollar penny could literally be lying inside your home untouched for years fuels the passion of collectors worldwide. And when you think about a coin said to have reached a supposed face value of $15 million due to rarity combined with extreme error circumstances, numismatic hype cycles, historical uniqueness, and obsessive collector demand, you begin to understand why the 1976 no-mint mark cent is one of the most talked about modern rarities in coin discussions. And although only a handful of collectors claim to possess extremely rare varieties of this coin, the possibility that undiscovered specimens still exist in circulation has motivated countless people to start checking every penny carefully. And the psychology behind this is fascinating, because humans are naturally drawn to treasure hunts, to hidden rewards, to the excitement of finding value where no one expects it. And coins like this feed into that instinct perfectly, because they represent the idea that ordinary people can stumble upon extraordinary wealth simply by paying attention to details that others ignore. And for anyone serious about verifying whether their 1976 no-mint mark penny is truly rare, the first step is to check the strike quality around the mint mark area to determine whether the mark is missing due to die wear, grease-filled dies, or whether the mark was never applied at all. And missing due to grease varieties can still be valuable, but not nearly as valuable as true no-mint mark versions. And weighing the coin is crucial, because copper cents from that era should weigh around 3.11 grams, so any weight abnormalities might indicate planchet errors or misstrikes that multiply value dramatically. And examining the reverse side of the coin is equally essential, because errors like misaligned strikes, doubling in the 1 cent lettering, die chips around the Lincoln Memorial edges, or distortions in the vertical lines can significantly increase rarity when paired with a missing mint mark. And collectors are especially obsessed with double die errors from the 1970s, because those decades were notorious for sloppy minting conditions that produced famous errors. So checking the 9, 7, and 6 digits in the year for doubling or split serifs is one of the biggest steps in confirming value, and one of the biggest misconceptions beginners have about rare pennies is believing that shiny coins are worth more. But in reality, cleaned or polished coins lose value instantly, because cleaning scratches the surface, removes luster, and destroys original patina, which collectors value immensely. So if someone finds a 1976 penny that looks old, dirty, uneven in color, or naturally worn, they should never clean it, because the originality is what creates value. And if you think about the full journey this coin takes from mint to pocket change to forgotten storage to modern rediscovery, it becomes clear that millions of people unknowingly handle coins that could be incredibly valuable, yet hesitate to inspect them closely because they assume pennies are worthless, which is why coin collectors understand that wealth often hides in small unnoticed things. And because rare coins have built an entire economy of collectors, buyers, grading companies, online marketplaces, and dedicated auction houses, anyone holding a potentially valuable 1976 no-mint mark cent needs to know the best places to sell it for maximum profit, including online auction sites where bidding wars can push prices far beyond expectations, established coin auction houses where high-end collectors compete, coin shows, where dealers offer instant cash, private collector networks, local coin shops, and appraisal services that provide professional evaluations ensuring no one gets underpaid. And if a coin appears to be truly rare, the best step is sending it for professional grading because graded coins sell for much higher premiums. And while beginners often feel intimidated by the complexity of coin evaluation, the truth is that anyone can learn to recognize basic errors with just a magnifying glass, patience, and comparison images. And because coin hunting rewards persistence, many collectors develop the habit of checking every single penny they receive, including coins from grocery stores, restaurants, gas stations, vending machines, parking meters, small shops, and loose change everywhere, because you never know when a rare penny might appear in the least expected place. Next, 1970 D Mint Mark 1 cent USA coin that appears so ordinary, so familiar, so quietly tucked away in the shadow of everyday pocket change that most people would never even give it a second glance, yet deep within its copper core lies a universe of rarity, minting mystery, historical curiosity, and numismatic obsession that has pushed collectors into endless discussions, investigations, auctions, and bidding wars built on the belief that this tiny penny could reach an astonishing value of $16 million. A symbolic and electrifying number that reflects the coin's potential rarity combined with error possibilities, production anomalies, transitional quirks, and the feverish intensity of collectors who chase after 1970 coins with an unmatched hunger. And the story behind this particular year begins with one of the most turbulent periods in the United States Mint, where Denver was producing billions of cents under immense pressure, switching die states rapidly, facing mechanical inconsistencies, struggling with worn dies, and operating under demanding output expectations, all of which created an environment where unnoticed mistakes could occur, including die doubling, die deterioration doubling, machine doubling, mint mark punch mishaps, overpunching issues, misaligned dies, off-center strikes, die rotation errors, planchet flaws, grease-filled dies, and even varieties that no one documented at the time, making 1970 one of the richest years for error hunters and treasure seekers who understand that small imperfections overlooked during the rush of production have become multimillion-dollar opportunities today. And the Denver Mint Mark itself adds additional layers of complexity because mint marks were hand-punched in earlier eras, which means the placement, angle, pressure, alignment, depth, and visibility of the D Mint Mark could vary drastically, creating endless varieties that collectors analyze with microscopes, photographs, weight scales, digital comparisons, and side-by-side examinations, fueling a world where even the tiniest variations can lead to astronomical value. And among the most famous errors connected to 1970 are the double die obverse varieties, where Lincoln's portrait, the date, the lettering, and the motto "I in God We Trust" can exhibit doubling that transforms a simple penny into a once-in-a-lifetime collectible. And what makes this so exciting is that many rare double dies from 1970 were only discovered decades after circulation started, meaning that many more might still be sitting inside jars, drawers, inherited boxes, purse pockets, forgotten storage containers, or unsearched buckets of coins gathering dust in basements, attics, garages, or old family trunks. And when you think about that possibility, about the idea that someone somewhere might be living with $16 million sitting quietly inside their home, you begin to understand why so many collectors devote their entire life to studying every subtle detail of coins like the 1970 D penny. And the details matter because identifying a truly valuable specimen requires examining the thickness of the digits in the date, the curling of the 9, the shape of the 7, the length of the serif on the 1, the alignment of the Liberty letters, the spacing between the words, the sharpness of Lincoln's bow tie, the clarity of the beard lines, the rim thickness, the uniformity of the metal flow, the strike strength at the center and the outer edges, and the visibility of potential die cracks or die chips, especially around the mint mark where metal flaws were common. And another major reason the 1970 D penny fascinates collectors is because of the 1970s small date versus large date phenomenon, even though that variation does not apply directly to the 1970 D coin. But the hype surrounding the year in general draws heightened attention to Denver issues too. And because the year 1970 produced some of the most iconic and valuable Lincoln cents ever recorded, collectors assume, and sometimes correctly, that any overlooked Denver variety could also hold tremendous value, especially when combined with rare error types like off-center strikes of 5%, 10%, 15%, or even more, broad strikes, clipped planchets, wrong planchet strikes, doubled dies, repunched mint marks, filled mint marks, inverted mint marks, and the legendary possibility of transitional planchets, which can occur when leftover planchets from a previous or following year accidentally get struck with the wrong design, and history teaches collectors never to underestimate transitional errors because some of the world's most expensive coins came from accidents exactly like that, and because of this the 1970 penny continues to spark theories, excitement, and deep numismatic research. And what makes this story even more gripping is that the typical American household rarely pays attention to pennies anymore, viewing them as disposable, unimportant, or barely worth handling. Yet ironically, the same coins that many ignore are the same coins that might hold mind-blowing value, and coin professionals often say that the greatest treasures hide in the smallest places, because unbelievable rarities have been found in things as simple as random change from stores, handfuls of coins from gas stations, tips from restaurants, old piggy banks saved from childhood, jars filled by grandparents decades earlier, or forgotten drawers inside antique furniture. And when collectors discuss life-changing finds, pennies from the 1960s and 1970s frequently appear in those stories because these decades were known for massive mint production combined with frequent machinery issues, a perfect recipe for creating errors that modern collectors covet, and the 1970 penny benefits from that era's volatility, making it one of the most studied coins in modern numismatic culture, especially by those who chase million-dollar rarities with intense passion and understanding. The mechanics behind a coin like this requires learning how the minting process worked in 1970, how dies were created, how planchets were prepared, how mint marks were applied, how machines behaved under pressure, how dies wore out quickly, how grease interference could erase details, how alignment issues could distort designs, how temperature changes could alter metal flow, how inexperienced workers might overlook mistakes, and how billions of coins made at high speed produced fertile ground for rare, valuable errors. And because of this environment, collectors today approach every 1970 penny with a sense of possibility, examining them carefully using magnifying glasses, digital microscopes, smartphone macro lenses, high-resolution photography, and precise weight scales, hoping to identify the small signs that distinguish a normal penny from a rare variant worth life-changing money. And the process of checking a coin is itself a thrill because every part of the coin tells a story. The obverse reveals the history of die wear, the reverse shows metal flow direction, the rim reveals strike pressure, the fields reveal surface conditions, the lettering reveals clarity or distortion, and the mint mark reveals whether the punch was clean, misaligned, repunched, or affected by grease, and beginners often underestimate how many micro details can indicate value. Which is why studying coins is like learning a new language where every small mark has meaning, and if you hold a 1970 penny right now, the first rule is never to clean it because cleaning removes original surface texture, destroys numismatic value instantly, scratches the copper, removes mint luster, and permanently lowers the price even if the coin is extremely rare, and professionals emphasize that originality is everything, and if a coin is crusty, dirty, darkened, or naturally toned, that is good because buyers prefer untouched specimens, and once you believe your coin might have an error, the next step is professional grading, because companies like PCGS and NGC authenticate the coin, protect it inside a slab, assign it a grade, and dramatically increase its market value, and the most valuable coins tend to be those with rare errors combined with high grades because error coins found in circulation are usually worn. But if someone finds an uncirculated or lightly circulated error from 1970, the value multiplies, and that's why coin hunters constantly search unsearched rolls, bank bags, estate collections, flea market boxes, thrift shop jars, antique store shelves, and inherited collections, hoping to find an untouched treasure. And when it comes to selling a rare 1970 penny, you must choose the right platform, because a rare error coin should never be sold casually. Instead, it should be listed on major auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, where collectors bid aggressively. or on great collections where rare pennies receive competitive offers, or kept for private sale to high-end collectors who pay premium rates, and online marketplaces like eBay can also bring bidding wars if the coin is professionally graded and photographed clearly. But even local coin shops and coin shows can yield fast cash sales. Next, 1988 no-mint mark 1 cent USA coin sitting quietly in someone's forgotten change jar, looking completely ordinary on the outside yet carrying a storm of mystery, rarity, minting confusion, and collector speculation so powerful that this single copper-plated zinc penny has been discussed as reaching a staggering $9 million in potential collectible face value. A number fueled by obsession with transitional errors, missing mint mark anomalies, die varieties, and hidden mistakes from a chaotic period inside the U.S. Mint when machinery strain, die fatigue, experimental die hub changes, and planchet inconsistencies created some of the most intriguing modern errors in the Lincoln Cent series. And the year 1988 is particularly explosive because it was a year sitting at the crossroads between two different reverse designs, the 1988 reverse and the 1989 reverse, leading to one of the most famous and sought-after modern errors of all time, the 1988 transitional reverse variety, where some 1988 pennies received the wrong reverse meant for 1989, instantly making the year a hotspot for error hunters. And because of this overlapping die usage, the possibility of no mint mark anomalies, grease-filled dies, hub transition confusion, and misapplied or missing mint marks becomes even more believable and far more exciting to collectors. And when you combine a transitional error with possible mint mark disappearance caused by clogged dies or incomplete strikes, the 1988 no mint mark penny becomes a magnet for treasure hunters who understand that transitional years often produce the most valuable coins in American history, and the 1988 no-mint mark cent gains additional mythic status because so many transitional reverse varieties were discovered only decades later, long after they had circulated through millions of hands unnoticed. Which means that countless people around the country might still have one sitting in their homes without any idea of its potential value. A value amplified by the fact that collectors today desperately chase after 1988 errors, checking every tiny detail under magnification to determine whether they have found one of these ultra-rare variants. And one of the biggest reasons the 1988 no-mint mark cent fascinates experienced numismatists is that Philadelphia pennies from this period normally do not carry a mint mark. Yet the reasons behind missing marks can still vary widely because a coin expected to have no mint mark can still demonstrate unique characteristics such as die fatigue, reverse mismatch, unusual letter shapes, inconsistent spacing, or faint artifacts from mint mark application processes used at other facilities. And when collectors refer to a no-mint mark coin from 1988 being extraordinarily valuable, what they usually mean is a coin that combines a transitional die error, like the legendary 1988 reverse of 1989, with other anomalies, creating the kind of ultra-rare, once-in-a-generation hybrid error that fuels million-dollar price speculation. And this idea has encouraged collectors to examine 1988 cents more intensely than nearly any other late 1980s penny because the combination of a transitional reverse and any other die anomaly can create unstoppable collector demand. And checking for these details requires a level of patience and focus that casual hobbyists often underestimate. Because to properly inspect a 1988 penny you must examine the FG initials on the reverse, looking for shapes associated with the 1989 design, check the spacing and sharpness of the 1 cent lettering, look for any hints of extra thickness or doubling, examine the edges for subtle distortions, check the reverse columns for distortion patterns, observe the rim for alignment issues, and inspect the portrait of Lincoln for strike inconsistencies or die deterioration. And because the 1988 transitional reverse is already rare, combining it with a plausible no-mint mark anomaly thrown into viral discussions makes the year even more electrifying for those who believe that unexpected combinations still lie undiscovered. And the beauty of coin collecting is that history continually proves that mint mistakes can hide in circulation for decades before someone accidentally finds them, leading to discoveries that shock the coin world. And every collector knows the thrill of imagining that an ordinary penny in their pocket might not be ordinary at all, because every major numismatic discovery, from doubled dies to mule coins to transitional planchets, came from someone who took the time to look closely at something others ignored, and many people don't realize how often pennies get overlooked despite having the highest potential for shocking value because small denomination coins travel the longest distances, stay in circulation for decades, get passed through countless hands, and end up forgotten in jars and boxes that families store for years, meaning hidden treasures can remain untouched for entire generations. And this exact phenomenon is why so many collectors believe that more 1988 transitional and rare no-mint mark variations are still out there waiting to be discovered, and studying the mint's history reveals that 1988 was more complicated than people think because the shift toward new hub designs introduced opportunities for die mixing, transitional errors, incorrect pairings. And a handful of mint employees at the time even recalled chaotic die storage procedures, meaning dies from different years sometimes ended up side by side, creating ideal conditions for mistakes. And when you mix high-speed production with immense pressure and evolving technology, small oversights become massive opportunities decades later. And because the 1988 transitional reverse variety has already proven that abnormal die pairings did occur, the coin community continues to investigate every new 1988 anomaly that surfaces, hoping to find an undiscovered hybrid error valued in the millions, and this drives collectors to examine hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of pennies searching for one extraordinary outlier, a task requiring endless patience, determination, and curiosity. But the excitement comes from the knowledge that someone, somewhere, will eventually find one, because history shows that rare coins often appear unpredictably in circulation long after production ends. And this belief keeps treasure hunters glued to magnifying glasses and microscopes, scanning each 1988 penny with intense focus, especially since many transitional errors were originally dismissed as ordinary until sharper tools and better photography revealed hidden details, fueling the hope that a multi-million-dollar 1988 no-mint mark treasure is still out there, waiting silently in someone's home, and this creates a psychological thrill that drives the entire hobby. The idea that life-changing value can hide in the smallest, most overlooked object you carry every single day. Next, 1996 mint marked D1 USA coin with a claimed face value of $6 million in the rare coin community is a coin that pulls collectors into a deep spiral of curiosity, excitement, adrenaline, and hope because every time someone flips through old change jars, soda machine leftovers, garage sale boxes, inherited jars of pennies, old bank rolls, and dusty biscuit tins, there is always that tiny voice in the back of the mind whispering, "What if this is the one?" And that whisper becomes louder when the coin in question belongs to the mid-1990s era, a period when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents but also dealing with transitional issues, die deterioration, metal inconsistencies, machine doubling inconsistencies, and high-speed press errors that occasionally birthed extreme rarities, making the 1996 penny a surprising sleeper coin capable of shocking the world if the right rare specimen appears. And that's exactly why collectors, investors, hoarders, metal enthusiasts, and YouTube coin hunters keep returning to this coin over and over because the stories surrounding rare 1996 errors, brockages, off-centers, misaligned dies, full brockage reverses, double denomination strikes, wrong planchet strikes such as cents struck on dime planchets or foreign planchets, extreme die cracks that slice across Lincoln's portrait like lightning, massive cuds eating large parts of the rim, triple die adverse anomalies, lightly struck coins due to grease-filled dies creating missing details, and ultra-rare deep mirror-proof-like business strikes, are the sort of numismatic miracles that transform an ordinary copper-plated zinc penny into a life-changing piece of money that auction houses crave and collectors chase because the demand for 1990s-era Lincoln cents has exploded in the last decade, fueled by viral videos, social media exposure, new collectors entering the hobby, and a wave of people looking for financial hope in unexpected corners. And this particular 1996 coin stands out not just because of its production at the Denver Mint but because Denver is known for creating some of the strongest, sharpest strikes in the Lincoln series, which means that any deviation from that norm, any unusual weakness, doubling, missing elements, off-metal strike, or mint blunder, immediately becomes more noticeable, more dramatic, and more valuable, multiplying its desirability and pushing the theoretical collector value into ranges that sound unreal to the average person, which is why the fictional face value of $6 million is used dramatically in storytelling circles to capture attention, ignite imagination, and fuel the obsession behind hunting this coin, because people aren't just searching for a penny, they're searching for a moment that will change their lives, a discovery that rewrites their future, and a treasure that could turn a forgotten piece of metal into unimaginable wealth. And that dream becomes even stronger when studying the coin's design features, such as the clarity of the mint Mark D near the date 1996, the sharpness of Lincoln's bow tie, the flow lines around the rim, the thickness of the lettering In God We Trust, the separation lines in Liberty, and the smoothness of the fields where die polishing marks may reveal hidden details about the die stage, which is crucial because some of the most valuable 1996 die errors come from extremely early die states or extremely late die states, both of which create visual anomalies that collectors love, like early die doubling or late die cracks and cuds. And the reverse side with the Lincoln Memorial is equally important because errors like extra columns, missing FG initials, tilted dies, clash marks where Lincoln's profile transfers faintly onto the reverse, and rotated dies that shift the reverse orientation dramatically can multiply value instantly, particularly when preserved in high-grade conditions like MS65, MS66, MS67 or speculative MS68. Because while most circulated 1996 pennies are worth face value, a rare high-grade error specimen is a different universe entirely, capable of igniting bidding wars, generating viral online discussion, and pushing auction prices beyond imagination. And this is the true heartbeat of this coin's legend, the combination of rarity potential, mid-modern minting unpredictability, collector enthusiasm, and the irresistible desire for ordinary people to find extraordinary value in the change already sitting in their pocket. And that's why sellers who discover major errors often go to auction platforms like Heritage Auctions, Great Collections, Stacks and Bowers, Teletrade, eBay for beginning sellers, Facebook numismatic groups, Reddit r/coins, Whatnot live auctions, and specialized coin consignment dealers who evaluate authenticity, grade the coin through PCGS or NGC, and help sellers achieve maximum results, especially since grading can turn a $500 error into a $50,000 error depending on eye appeal and strike quality. And while the $6 million figure is symbolic of the excitement surrounding ultra-rare coins, the real value comes from the story, the hunt, the mystery, the market trends, the emotional intensity, and the belief that a simple 1996 penny could be the golden key sitting unnoticed in a drawer for decades, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize its greatness. And that belief fuels collectors worldwide, pushing them to examine every detail under magnification, photograph their finds, compare them to known varieties, join coin forums, study die markers, learn about die fatigue patterns, understand planchet preparation, and develop an expert eye capable of spotting the slightest abnormality, because in the world of rare pennies the tiniest deviation, a thicker mint mark, an extra eyelid, a shifted pillar, a missing designer initial, an abnormally wide gap in lettering, a floating roof effect from die deterioration, a raised die chip resembling a teardrop, or even a perfectly round detached cud, can transform the coin's fate instantly, turning an ordinary mint-state penny into a prized specimen. And this ongoing hunt has turned the 1996 penny into a modern legend, a symbol of possibility that urges every new collector to dig deeper, look closer, and never underestimate the power of a small copper-plated zinc disc that might carry within it the kind of minting anomaly that not only captures history but transforms it, making the 1996 1-cent USA coin one of the most emotionally charged and enthusiastically hunted pieces of the late 20th century Lincoln cent series, a masterpiece of mystery, hope, desire, and rare error potential that continues to inspire millions of treasure hunters around the world who dream of discovering the elusive $6 million penny that might one day emerge from the shadows and rewrite what we thought was possible.